am going to introduce Loralee Vince. She's our piano teacher at the Music Depot. Loralee, it's all yours.
Thanks, Morgan. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to see some of my students from Brock University, Emily and Sue. Nice to see you. And some of the other people that I've seen at the Music Depot, nice to see you as well. So what I'm going to do, I've prepared a PowerPoint. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint and share my screen with you so that you can all see the screen. But when I do that, I can't see you. I can just see the PowerPoint on my screen. So if I need to pause or if someone has a question, we're going to take the questions at the end and then we can go back. So maybe just take some notes if there's something you're not sure about, or if you need to ask a question. I don't know if maybe Morgan could let me know if I need to stop and come back to the computer screen. We'll see. It's kind of a trial and error here as we go. All right, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you and you're going to see a PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to go through slide by slide so that you can follow along. I've also downloaded a virtual piano onto my computer screen so I can show you the keys on the piano. I've never used it before. So it's going to be something new that we're trying. Hopefully it works out very well and it will help you understand as well. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Let me just take a minute here. Okay, so the name of this seminar is, or webinar, is When You Can't Capo the Keyboard. And what we're going to be talking about is transposing to any key. So when you're playing in a band, sometimes the band says, okay, we're going to change keys. Or if you're accompanying a vocalist, sometimes they need to change keys. And it's very easy for a guitarist to change keys because they have a little device called a capo that they just clip onto their guitar and they can slide it up and down and that can change the keys. But it's very difficult if you're playing a piano because we don't have this kind of a tool. Some of your keyboards, if you have electronic keyboards, some of them have a transpose key. So that's very useful. But if you don't have a special button or a device, then you really have to learn how to change the keys by yourself. So what we're going to do is talk about some tips on how to be able to transpose into any key. All right, so let's go to the next slide here. So what are all of the black keys for on the piano? This is just going to be some background theory to help you in case you're not sure about different keys. So I'm going to do a little bit of review and then we'll go into how to transpose. So first of all, we have black keys on the piano, as you know. And sometimes they're called flats and sometimes they're called sharps. So what does a flat do? A flat is used to lower the note one semitone or 1/2 step. And there's a simple poem to remember the order of flats. And this is important because we're going to need this later. So the poem is battle ends and down goes Charles's father. And the first letter of each of those are very useful because B, E, A, D, G, C, and F are the order of the flats when we get into the key signatures. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Some of the black keys are called sharps. And what a sharp does is a sharp raises the note a semitone or a 1/2 step. And there's a simple poem to remember the order of sharps. So that's Father Charles goes down and ends battle. So the order of sharps is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. So you might notice something kind of interesting about this, and that is that battle ends and down goes Charles's father is frontwards, and then if you take it backwards, Father Charles goes down and ends battle. That's how we come up with our order for the sharps. So that was just the first little blurb about the order of flats and sharps, and that's going to be important when we figure out what key we're in so that we can understand how to change keys. Okay, so anybody have another question before I go back to the PowerPoint? So far, so good? Okay, awesome. I see Sue's got her thumbs up, so that means let's go. All right, so here we go. And share. All right, so the next thing that we need to know is, what key am I in? We cannot change keys if we don't know what key we're in. So the first step to transposing into a new key is to understand what key am I in the first place. So there's a quick and easy way to understand the key that you're in before you change into a new key. So what I've done here is we've got the order of the sharps that we talked about. So Father Charles goes down and ends battle. And we've also got the order of the flats that we talked about before. So what you can do after you write out this order, the poem, you can put a 0 beside the C because the key of C has 0 sharps and 0 flats. And then you just move up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go up to the front, and that's where we put our 6. That becomes F sharp. So what happens, it's pretty easy. If you look at this chart, if you're not sure, the key of C has 0 sharps and flats. The key of G has 1 sharp. How do we know what the first sharp is? Well, remember, that's what the poem is for. So our first sharp is F. So the key of G has 1 sharp, and that's F sharp. And then if you move forward, the key of D has 2 sharps. So what's the order? The first one will be F sharp, and the number 2 one will be C sharp. And you can go down the line and you can figure out what key you're in, how many sharps there are, and what is the order of the sharps. So this is very useful, especially if you're just getting used to different keys and learning a little bit about keys. So if we come over here to the key of B, we know that it has 5 sharps, 5 black keys. So what are the sharps? Well, it tells us right in the order: F, C, G, D, and A. And that's just a quick and easy way to figure out how many sharps or flats we have in the key signature. So when you come down to here to the flats, we talked about the poem that goes with the flats. So the poem is battle ends and down goes Charles' father. So we're going to do the same thing with the numbers underneath. C always has 0 sharps and 0 flats. So we've got 0 sharps and flats, and then we just move up with the numbers. So F has 1 flat, B flat major has 2 flats, E flat major has 3 flats, and up we go. So if you take a look at F, so F major has 1 flat. What is the flat? We're going to go back to the order, and the first flat is B flat. So when we're playing the key of F, we have 1 flat, and that's B flat. Okay, I'm going to come back in and see if anyone has any questions about that. Let me pop back in and see your beautiful faces. Good, are we good then? So far so good? All right, let's continue. This is the confusing part sometimes at the beginning, but as we get going, you'll see that it starts to make a lot of sense. And there's some really helpful, that poem is very helpful when you're trying to remember what is the order of sharps, what is the order of flats. So it's really helpful. And this PowerPoint is available for you as well if you want to go back and take a look at it, just as a reminder. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and share it with you. All right. So that's just a little bit about the sharps and the flats and the order and how we figure out what key we're in. We cannot change the key we're in if we don't know what key we're in. So that's the first step. All right, next step. Let me go to the next slide. All right, so how do we find the relative minor? This is just a little extra information. This is, if you're looking for the relative minor from a major key signature, you count backwards 3 half steps. So every major key has a cousin, and that's the minor key. So for example, C major has no sharps or flats. If we count backwards 3 half steps, we will land on A. So if we go from C to B flat to A, that's how we find our relative minor. So this means that A minor has no sharps and no flats, which is the same as C major. Although it's going to sound different because it starts on a different note. So every major key has a cousin, and that's called the relative minor. So that might come in useful as well as you're figuring things out. So that's just kind of a little bit extra. All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes. So what is a capo and what does it do? So a capo is a life-saving, key-changing device that all piano players hate with a passion. And the reason we hate it is because we don't have one on the piano. So when a guitar player uses a capo, it clamps down across the strings and it shortens them, which creates a higher pitch, a higher sound. And this pitch works out to be 1 half step higher for each fret. So for example, if you only know how to play a song in the key of C, but the singer wants to sing it in the key of D, you can put your capo on the 2nd fret, and when you play the C chords, magically it will sound like you're playing in the key of D. But no such luck for the piano player. We must transpose. So the capo can make it half a step higher and can change keys that way. But the piano player doesn't have a capo, so we have to transpose it. All right, so now we're going to get into the transposing part of it. And we're going to work through a song and see how we transpose it. Okay, so now it's your turn to answer some questions. So we're going to go through some of this little by little. So if the song is in the key of D and the guitar player puts the capo on the 5th fret, what key does the piano player have to play in? And what are the sharps and the flats in that key? Okay, so let's think about this. The song is in the key of D, and the guitar player puts it on capo 5. Each time you put the capo, it's half a step. So we've got half a step, half a step, half, half, half. So what key will that put us in? Okay, I'm gonna come back to you because maybe somebody knows the answer. So if we have to do 5 half steps from D, so we're gonna be on D. So we're gonna go up from D. We've got D sharp. Then we've got E, F, F sharp. Where does that land us? Yes, I can hear D even though I can unmute you. Okay, D, where does that, let me see, unmute. Oh, maybe I can't unmute you. I can see your lips saying D, anyways, or G. Okay, so you're right, the answer is G. So if we have to go up 5 frets, that's gonna bring us to G. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. And let me share this with you. All right. Okay, so, oops. Can I see this one? Okay, so let's try to transpose a simple song. We're going to take a look at the song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which I think everybody knows, right? So it's, so I've put some of the notes down here at the bottom. And if you're sitting in front of a piano, you can play it, you can hear it. So Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we're gonna start it in the original key of C. So our first step is to transpose it to capo fret 2. So we have to figure out what is the key signature first, and then what are the notes gonna be. So I'm gonna pull up my little piano here. So you have to transpose it 2 steps. Let me find my virtual piano. So here is my virtual piano. So I'm in the key of C. But I want to transpose it onto fret number 2. So I have to move up 2 half steps. So I'm here. So this is 1 half step, and this is 2 half step. So what key am I in if I'm going to play it in the key of D? Who can tell me what key I'm in? Oh, I just told you what key you're in, but who can tell me what sharps are in the key of D? Put your hand up if you know the answer, and then okay, Sue, let me unmute you, Sue. Okay, Sue, what are the sharps in the key of D?
So F and C.
Perfect. Okay, can you play Twinkle Twinkle in the key of D for me? Perfect. I have like a little mini piano here beside me, like a little tiny piano. It's just for little children, but I thought it was perfect. So if we're gonna play it in D, that's excellent. So we've got our, right? And we've got from D to A. So that's perfect. And that's Capo 2 if we were playing it in the key of C. All right, let's try a couple more. Does everyone have a piano in front of them? No, but the piano's in your mind, right? Okay, perfect. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Now I've got everything up here, so it should be easier. Okay. So what about if I wanted to transpose it to Capo? Okay, so Capo fret 5 from C. Capo fret 5 from C. So let me come back to your faces. Oh, I have to press stop share. So Capo fret 5 from C. What key would I be in? I think you can unmute yourselves. Dee, can you unmute yourself? I can see your face saying F. I know what you're saying.
F.
Yes. Okay, and what is the key signature in F?
Is it 3 sharps?
Yeah. Let's do F with a flat.
B flat.
Yeah, B flat. Perfect. So D, we have F, just regular F, and then we have F sharp major, and that one has a lot of sharps. I don't like to play an F sharp major. I think there's like 6.
Either. Yeah.
But just F major has B flat. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen with you again, and I'm going to show you the notes for the song, and then we'll have somebody. I'm going to put it up on the screen, and if somebody wants to play it, they can. So let me just put it up here and share. And here is, put the screen up. There we go. So Twinkle Twinkle in F sharp. You can see we've got a B flat there, and it starts on the key F. Who wants to play that? Does somebody want to play that for us?
I can play if anyone doesn't want to play.
Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. And you're going by ear for the rest. Very good. So, and the other one that we talked about was D, and I didn't pull that one up. So I'm going to pull that one up so you guys can see it too. This one's a little bit clearer. So this one you can see is in the key of D. It's got 2 sharps in the key signature, and we're going to start on the note D. So this one is Capo 2. If you were playing the guitar and you put your capo on number 2, and you were playing in the key of C, a piano player would have to transpose that to the key of D. So those are the notes for the key of D. All right, let's try a couple more. I think I've got, let's see. Let me go back to the screen before. How about if we transpose it to Capo fret 9? Let me come back to the screen. Capo fret 9. So we're gonna count up 9 half steps from C. Who knows what key that would be? 9 half steps up from C. I can see your lips moving again, Dee. Let me hear you.
A.
You got it. That's right. So if we're going to go up 9, if we're on Capo 9, we've got 9 half steps. That brings us to the key of A. All right. Here's the next question. What is the key signature of A major? Not A flat major, A major. Does anybody know what's the key signature of A major? Do you want me to go back to the slide? The cheater slide?
Lola.
Yes.
What is the signature of a the sharp or flat
Of A major.
order?
Yes.
3 sharps.
3 sharps, good. And what are they?
C. C, F, G.
Yeah. So if we go back to the poem, Father Charles goes. F, C, and G. So the key of A major has 3 sharps. Father Charles goes. F, F, C, G. All right, so let me go back to share the screen and let's see if we can play Twinkle Twinkle in the key of A, which is a little bit more difficult because we've got those 3 sharps. So there's going to be some black keys when we play it. So let me pull up the PowerPoint because I have it here and I'm going to share it. And let's go to, all right, so down here at the bottom, you're going to see A major. So we've done G and we've done D, and this is A major. It only has the first line for you, but it shows us the notes, and we have to remember that C and F and G are sharps. Okay, so take a look at that. I'm going to come back and take a look at you. If somebody wants to play it, everyone's being shy. Dee is not shy, but she doesn't have a piano in front of her. Macy, do you have a piano in front of you? Do you want to try it? That's okay. You can practice it at home after if you want. That's no problem. Okay, Sue, why don't you play it in A for us? Do you need to look at the notes or you're okay?
I think I'm okay.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
You can keep going if you want. That sounded great.
Oh.
So everybody noticed the F sharp and the C sharp and the G sharp there? Excellent. Thank you. Very good. Okay, so let me go back to the share one more time. And share. So piano players have to work a little bit harder sometimes when it comes to transposing, but we have to do some, it's almost like mathematics where we have to figure out a few things first. So I'm going to go back to the beginning screens when we were talking about the keys. So I'm going to go back to the first 2 screens just as a reminder. So this will really help you if you remember this poem. It'll help you to remind you. So flats are used to lower the note a semitone or a half step. And the order of flats is battle, ends, and down, goes, Charles, father. So we've got the B, E, A, D, G, C, and F. So that's the order of flats, okay? And then the order of sharps, it's the same poem, but it's backwards. So it's father, Charles, goes, down, and ends, battle. So we've got F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. So that's the order of the sharps and flats. And then I'm just going to go back to slide number 2 that talks about the keys. So what key am I in and how many sharps and flats are in that key? So when I'm talking about sharps, I'm going to use the same order of the poem. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. So for example, Sue just played in the key of A, and we know that A has 3 sharps because we wrote it down here. And the order of the sharps are F, C, and G. Okay, I'm gonna ask another question. So maybe somebody else wants to answer. Just unmute yourself and answer. So we're talking about the sharps. How many sharps are in the key of G? And you can look at the chart. So how many sharps are in the key of G?
1.
1, good. And what is the name of the sharp?
F sharp.
Got it. Okay, excellent. And how many sharps are in the key of B? Anyone can answer?
5.
Okay, 5, good. And what are the names of the sharps in the key of B? And you can look here, it's okay. First one is,
F.
and then?
F.
F, C, G, D, A.
C, G, B, A.
Good. So F, C, G, D, and A. Excellent. So see how this little poem is so helpful? It will help you find your key and how many flats or sharps and what is the order of the flats and sharps. Very good. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, what is the key signature of E major? So how many sharps?
4.
4. And what is the order? First one is?
F, C, G, D.
You got it. That's it. Awesome. And it's the same idea then when we go into our major keys that are flat. So we've got the key of C has 0 flats. What about the key of E flat major? How many flats?
3.
3. And what is the order?
E flat, E flat, A flat.
You got it. Excellent. Very good. So you need to really understand this chart. And then from there, it's very easy to transpose because we know how many sharps or flats. Okay. Now here's another question. Do you want me to leave this up? Is that helpful? Actually, you know what? I'm going to put up a different one. I'm going to put up the picture of the keyboard so you can see it. It looks like this. Okay. So share. All right. So let's imagine I'm in the key of C, 0 sharps, 0 flats, and my guitar player wants to go up 4 half steps. So fret 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What key am I in?
E.
Yes. So I'm in the key of E. How many sharps or flats are in the key of E major?
What?
So how many sharps are in the key of E major?
Sharps.
4.
Okay, good. And what's the order?
F, C, G, A.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, D.
You got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Father Charles goes down.
Goes down.
You got
Yeah.
it, good, okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm in the key of C, which I love. When I get asked to play a song and someone says it's in the key of C, I want to just kiss them. It's my favorite key because there's no sharps or flats. But now my vocalist says, oh, I want to sing it higher. So the guitar player says, no problem, and puts the capo on 6. So what key would I be in? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, what key is that?
F sharp, and there's 25 sharps in it.
Yeah. So F sharp major, which is my least favorite key to play in. I hate it. It's terrible because it has 6 sharps, right? So that becomes very difficult. So then I try to convince the singer to maybe sing it in G, which is a much nicer key to play in. So what is the key signature of G? So let's take a look. I'll go back to the PowerPoint and I'll share it with you. So key signature of G is
1.
1, exactly. And 1 sharp is F sharp. Right, so that's basically, let me go out of this PowerPoint and back to you. So stop sharing. Here we go. All right, so that's basically how we figure out keys and how we figure out how to transpose. So hopefully you never have to work with a vocalist who sings in F sharp major. It's kind of rare. It's not a key that a lot of people sing in, but you might have to play in a band and maybe they just quickly change the key. So you have to figure out a couple things. So what key am I in? How many steps do I have to move up? And what is the key signature of my new key? And that's basically what we need to know before we can change keys. So how many of you want to switch to guitar with a capo? Yeah, maybe, right? Adina says no, she wants to stick with the piano. So the good news is if you have a keyboard, an electronic keyboard, or a synthesizer, it has a transpose button on it. So a lot of times you can just work with the button and it will take you higher, or you can transpose lower as well with that. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Everyone's being shy now. Don't be shy.
So typically, in my classes and everything, we typically don't use flats.
Okay.
Right? We typically go to sharps when we're changing keys.
Like sometimes you will use flats. It depends what key, because you could be in like E flat major, or you could be in
D sharp.
like if you play in the key of F, that has a flat, 1 flat, B flat, or A flat major that has 4 flats. But let me ask you this question, Dee. This is maybe kind of a trick question. What is another name for D sharp? If you want to make it a flat.
E flat.
Yeah. So sometimes D sharp equals E flat, for example. So we have to be careful about that too. So what does that mean? So if you played, so for example, let's say I'd rather play 3 flats than 4 sharps. I can play the same, almost the same notes. Well, the same notes. It'll have a semitone, like it'll be a little bit different, but I can play the same notes and get the same melody of the song. So sometimes piano players prefer sharps or they prefer flats. It's just kind of your preference, what you get used to. I prefer nothing.
Same.
Actually, my favorite key to play in is A major, which has 3 sharps. And my daughter is a vocalist. She sings. She lives in Nashville now, sings full time. And I used to accompany her before she learned how to play guitar. And we always did all her songs in the key of A. And then one day she went into the studio and she did some recording. And she came home and she said, guess what? Guess what? My natural key isn't A. My natural key is B. Why didn't you tell me? And I said, because I don't like to play in the key of B. So you can still sing in A. It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So sometimes just that semitone difference for a vocalist is a big difference. So we have to learn. So actually I do have to play in the key of B quite a lot, but it's not my favorite key to play in. So yeah. Any other questions or anything else you guys are wondering about? No? Who's gonna go home and practice playing Twinkle Twinkle in every key, starting in C?
Me.
Me! Me! Maybe I'll my homework will be to practice it in the key of F sharp major.
Me.
Well, probably not. All right, very good. Well, that's about it for today's webinar. As Morgan said, there's a different webinar every week on a different topic, all kinds of topics related to music, and lots of different teachers are giving their expertise on some different topics. So if you're interested or you just kind of trying to figure out more about music, it's a great place to register. They're free, and it gives you an introduction to the studio, to Morgan, and to some of the people that are part of the studio as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Loralee. We're actually about to launch the next month of webinars coming up. So you can always, if you're a student, if you're taking any of the programs, it'll be on your portal and it'll give you all the information on how to register for these webinars, as well as our open mics are also on the student portal as well. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.